Hi, I'm If you're watching this video, it's because you're in my AP Lang class! Yay! Or I posted this online, and you're a stranger who managed to find this video, in which case I congratulate you. Over the course of this past summer, part of my summer homework was to watch/listen to a piece of media of my choice from a provided list. I ended up watching 13th, directed by DuVerney, a documentary about the U.S. prison system. It's quite clear from the cover alone that the core argument is prison reform. I mean, look at this cover and tell me otherwise. But I have been asked via being given this video assignment, how does this documentary construct their argument? Glad you asked. You might actually be asking who this movie is intended for, which is a question I will also answer while we analyze the film, because who doesn't love watching clips of a film while it gets picked apart?
So let's look at the statistics. The United States is home to 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's prisoners. Think about that.
This is how we start off the film. Shocking stats. They immediately hook you into the documentary. This is how they solidify the importance of future arguments to be presented and how they introduce you to the topic. The rest of the introduction is there for emphasis. This is when we get into the meat of the film, however, just afterwards, and the general pattern of argument presentation.
The 13th Amendment to the Constitution makes it unconstitutional for someone to be held as a slave.
There's a clause, a loophole.
If you have that embedded in the structure, in this constitutional language, then it's there to be used as a tool for whichever purposes one wants to use it.
And that is our jumping off point, slave labor in the prison system, which was then used to exploit the banning of slavery via mass arresting blacks and having them do slave labor all over again because of this loophole. From here on out, we follow the evolution of the U.S. prison system chronologically. The film from here on out is divided into sections, with bigger eras or decades being marked by prison population and smaller ones with clips of songs. The counting of the prison population is a reminder of how severe the problem becomes. Early on, they mentioned how
the prison population in the United States was largely flat throughout most of the 20th century. It didn't go up.
The exponential increase in prison population is repeatedly brought back to attention between eras, reminding viewers of the importance of the issue when the prison population skyrockets from tens of thousands to millions. On a more general note, the documentary employs the tactic of using various experts to tell the story of the U.S. prison system rather than have a narrator explain that they're not just making it up, as if you would doubt the experts. Both of these add solidity to their argument, especially combined with the few anecdotal pieces of evidence where they talk about specific incidences of the prison system being abusive. I could go into more detail about the argument for reform prison system and mark everything they say and analyze it deeply, but I don't have enough time here, which is why I spend my energy covering the more general moves they made. With all of these things in mind, who's this film intended for? Well, after watching all 100 minutes of it, I can confidently say that this was made for people like me. People who aren't, quote, in the know about the U.S. prison system, yet live in the country that could easily make you live in that system. The amount of context given and stats used really help an outsider like me understand the argument, whereas someone who's already aware of how messed up the prison system is would find this interesting, but possibly redundant since they'd kind of already know. Also, the music between sections is a nice touch that ties in how this has affected culture, specifically black culture within the U.S. Speaking of, was the director in this documentary directly affected by the prison system or witnessed it with a loved one? What motivated DuVerney to make this? That first question pretty much hit the nail on the head. She's a POC, and as such is one of the groups commonly unsafe from police presence. In an interview with Oprah, she recalls how growing up in Compton with lots of police presence, she never felt the safety you're supposed to get when cops are around. One story she shared was how one day the police wrestled to the ground and arrested her dad while he was on his own lawn watering the plants because they claimed that someone was running around the neighborhood and it's implied that they assumed it was him. Experiences like this are what contributed towards the career path that she took, and thus this documentary, which I highly recommend to anyone watching. Woo! 5 minutes! That's a wrap. I could make this a 20-minute video, but then nobody would watch it, and my AP Lang teacher would be very, very sad. So hopefully this got a good grade, and at the very least convinced you to watch 13th, which is on Netflix. That's kind of it. I'll see you in another project video.